now we've seen two poems in a row, right, where she's done this idea where she's using this 8/6/8/6 rhythm, and the one time she breaks it seems to be the one time she's talking about something that she would say is not holy and special and divine. Okay, by this point, I've usually got about half the class convinced. You know, like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. You know, she probably did this on purpose. And then, of course, they always fall back on the fact, yeah, well, that's because she was totally crazy and insane and just sat in her room all the time writing poetry. You know, that's a bit of an oversimplification, too. You know, she was a very private person, we know that. But she wasn't quite as much of a recluse as people think. You know, in a poem like this, you know, kind of shows you she does get out of the house. She actually, you know, if you go up and visit the Emily Dickinson house in Amherst, Massachusetts, she has a really big garden, and she was a, you know, a very avid gardener. She used to be out there all the time. Across the street from her house, her father owned about 11 acres, and she and her dog Carlo used to, you know, go for long, long walks through, the, you know, through the farmlands that they owned. From what I've read, it seemed like as she got older, she became more and more private. It was kind of funny. You know, I went up there to take this tour, and it seemed like our tour guide really wants to dispel the image of, okay, she's this crazy recluse up in her bedroom writing poetry and looking out the window and then writing more poetry. But it seemed to me like everything she said to try to make her sound not so much of a recluse, not so much of a hermit, only seemed to me to like kind of confirm. All right, like the example she gave us is, oh no, she wasn't that much of a loner. She actually, you know, the little kids in the neighborhood would play in, you know, around the house and in the street and in their yard. And then Emily Dickinson would appear at her second-story bedroom window and make a sign, and the kids would come to her, you know, underneath the window, and she would lower down a basket with cookies or treats for the kids, right? Now, my tour guide presented that as, like, oh, you see, she's not so crazy. She's totally normal. Like, she interacts with the kids, right? And I thought to myself, okay, yeah, but she's she's in her bedroom lowering them down by a rope. Like if you want to play with the kids, go out in the yard and bring the tray of cookies and throw the ball with them. You know, that's the way people generally do these things. All right, well, okay, let's take a look at the next one. All right. Okay, so we've been talking about her rhythm. And she uses 8/6/8/6 or a pattern of rhythm where she wants to show her, you know, her approval of something, something that she feels is good, positive, divine, special. This is one of her more famous poems. This is one of the few that were actually published during her lifetime. Most of her poems were published after her death. And this one goes like this. Success is counted sweetest by those who ne'er succeed. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. Not one of all the purple host who took the flag today can tell the definition so clear of victory as he defeated dying, on whose forbidden ear the distant strains of triumph burst agonized and clear. Okay, now, if you read this poem, this one I don't believe is 8/6/8/6. So if we look at it, we go, success is counted sweetest. That's only 7. By those who ne'er succeed, there's 6. To comprehend a nectar, back to 7, requires sorest need. All right, so this one is close to that 8/6 rhythm. This one goes 7/6/7/6 for that first stanza. And we also, in this one, have some obvious rhyme, right? You know, succeed and need rhyme. And we can see that she's taken the word never and used an apostrophe to drop the V to make it one syllable, ne'er. Right? So she seems to be, again, purposely manipulating the language so that she can get that rhythm that she wants. All right, then we come to our second stanza. This one, the rhythm breaks down, right? Not one of all the purple hosts, now we got 8, who took the flag today, back to 6, can tell the definition, 7, so clear of victory, that's 6. Alright, so in the first stanza, we have a nice rather regular rhythm. In this next stanza, the rhythm's kind of all over the place. And in this stanza, we don't have rhyme, right? Today and victory, they don't rhyme. You might want to call it sight rhyme because they both end in Y. But, you know, rhyme is really about sound, not spelling. So we're not going to hear any rhyme there. And then we come back to the last stanza. As he defeated dying, 7, on whose forbidden ear, 6, the distant strains of triumph, 7 again, burst agonized and clear. And again, we have a nice obvious rhyme here, ear and clear rhyme. Okay, so we have rhythm and rhyme, we have broken rhythm, no rhyme, we have rhythm and rhyme. Okay, so let's see if we can connect that idea with the content of the poem. Okay, success is counted sweetest by those who never succeed. Okay, well what's that line about, right? It seems to be about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Okay, now this first line has very special meaning to me because I'm a Mets fan. Okay. And I read this line and I think about all those Yankee fans, and I know we have some here in the audience, right? Right? And, you know, Yankees fans don't really understand what it is
The joy of
to suffer for your team. You know, and really, you know, Yankees fans are like, oh, we've got 27 World Championships, and if we don't win the World Series, this season was a total disaster. You know, come on, like, you know, we'll just buy another A-Rod, and, you know, we'll be back in the World Series, right? But Mets fans, you know, we really know what it means. Like, when we win, like, we go nuts, right? Because, you know, it only happens rarely, you know, and you know, and we have to endure these awful summers like last summer's where, you know, you've got your star on the disabled list and your best pitcher is out all summer, you know, with surgery. All right, so I think about Mets fans versus Yankees fans. Mets fans are the ones who can really tell you like how sweet victory is, right? Because we really have to wait for it and pray for it and endure all these awful summers. Whereas the Yankees fans, you guys have it too easy. Okay.
You're not going to argue, huh?
No, from my understanding, it's a lecture.
Lecturing you,
All right.
personal.
And then our next line. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. Okay, a nectar, a fruit juice, something sweet. Okay. I read that line, and I think of Gatorade. Okay, I'll tell you why. I can't stand the taste of Gatorade. I don't like it. If you offered, like, I'm a little thirsty right now, but if you offered me a glass of Gatorade, I'd be like, no thanks, you know, it's got all that sugar in it. It's just way too sweet for me. I don't really care for it. Okay, but I'm also a runner. Okay, catch me at the end of a 6-mile run on a hot day and hand me a bottle of Gatorade and, oh my goodness, like, this is the most delicious drink I've ever had in my life, right? You don't understand, you can't really appreciate the sweetness of Gatorade until you're really, really thirsty, right? So when I look at this one, I think to myself, it's sort of a similar idea, right? Mm-hmm. You don't appreciate the sweetness of life until you really, really need it, until you've been through some adversity to get it, right? All right. If you notice, this is one of her earlier poems, and she actually kind of uses some more standard punctuation than she does when she starts relying more on the dashes. So we actually have, you know, 2 sentences in that first stanza. Okay, so obviously she's sending us a message. Okay, you know, read this sentence, think about what it means. Now read this sentence, think about what it means. If you notice, the last 2 stanzas, though, are one long sentence. Right, so we have to look at all of this together. Not one of all the purple hosts who took the flag today can tell the definition so clear of victory as he defeated dying, on whose forbidden ear the distant strains of triumph burst agonized and clear. Okay, now, when she uses host here, she's using it in sort of an old-fashioned, with an old-fashioned meaning of army. Okay? So, the army that took the flag today, capture the flag. Okay, which army is she talking about in this stanza?
Yankees.
The winners. Exactly.
North?
The Yankees army, right? The winning
Yeah,
army,
say that.
right? And what she's saying here is, hey, if you want a really good definition of victory, who do you talk to? Do you talk to the winners who are off there celebrating? No. The one who can really tell you the true definition of victory, the one who really appreciates it, is this one from the losing side. The one who's lying on the field of battle, dying. And as he's laying there, he hears the distant sounds of triumph. The winning army celebrating their victory. Okay? Okay, now, if you look at this poem, what she's basically saying is, if the losers, you know, the people on the losing side, they're the ones who can truly tell you about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, you know, versus the winners. Okay, now, if you take that as the interpretation of the poem, if you take that as the message, can we connect the message to the form, right? So here, up here in this first stanza, we have the rhythm and the rhyme. And up here she's talking about the losers. You know, the losers being the people who can really tell you how special victory is. Here in the middle, who's she talking about? All right, the winners, who are not able really to appreciate the victory, who cannot really explain to you how sweet it is. And this is where the rhythm and the rhyme all break down, right? And then we come back to rhythm and rhyme at the end to talk about the losing side again, right? So where is the poetry in life, I guess she's saying here, right? The poetry is really with these poor folks who are on the losing side, whereas the winners here, you know, they're the ones who just, they don't appreciate, you know, what they've been through and what they've accomplished. They just start assuming, you know, okay, we'll do it again next year. We'll win another Super Bowl. We'll win another World Championship. And if we don't get back to the World Series, well, that's just, you know, that's a disappointment, and we'll have to, you know, do it again next year. So once again, we kind of see this connection between, you know, where she uses the rhythm, and it's something that she kind of approves of, something that she looks at as holy and special and divine. And then when she breaks the rhythm, and in this case even the rhyme as well, it's something that she doesn't feel is quite as insightful or special or divine, I guess.